The cat climbed the tree during yesterday's storm. I'd been watching it from my new living room window, feeling uneasy as rain hammered against the glass. There was something unsettling about that cat, stranded halfway up the tree, yowling while the thunder roared. But what could I do? I didn't know the cat or even whose it was just a random visitor on my first real night alone in the house. I just moved to this place. It wasn't exactly what I dreamed of, but I was drawn to it somehow. The house had character, that's what the real estate agent had said. It's rare to find a house like this in Tokyo, especially so close to Shibuya Crossing. And she was right. The house looked like it had been there for centuries. Old wooden floors, floral wallpaper peeling slightly, and a certain sense that many lives had passed through here. Maybe it was the history that pulled me in. As I unpacked, I wandered from room to room, taking it all in. The floorboards creaked in different pitches, the walls seemed to sigh with each gust of wind, and I could swear the house made tiny noises, as if it were whispering to itself. I liked to tell myself that it was just the natural settling of the old building. One thing caught my attention almost immediately, though, a spot in the hallway where the wallpaper was peeling a bit more than the rest. It wasn't a big deal, in fact, the real estate agent had mentioned it. Just a little wear and tear, nothing serious, she'd said with a shrug. But when I got closer, I noticed that there was something off. The wallpaper seemed to hang a bit loose, and there was an odd, almost rectangular shape under it. Curiosity got the best of me. I gently peeled back a corner, and there it was, an old, wooden door painted in a faded, chipped shade of blue. It looked like it hadn't been opened in decades, maybe longer. Why would someone cover a door with wallpaper? It didn't make sense. The doorknob was cold, and I gave it a light jiggle, but it didn't budge. Locked, naturally. I laughed it off. Maybe it's just an old storage space, I thought to myself. Besides, I had enough unpacking to do without getting sidetracked by mysteries. That night, I went to bed feeling tired and content. Moving is exhausting, and I was looking forward to finally getting some rest. But just as I started drifting off, I heard something odd. It was so faint at first that I thought it was just my imagination, a soft, rhythmic noise that seemed to come from the hallway. I lay there, eyes open, straining to hear. It almost sounded like whispering. Not words, exactly, but soft murmurs, like someone having a conversation in another room. The sound seemed to be coming from the direction of that strange door in the hallway. I sat up, feeling a strange chill that had nothing to do with the cool night air. It's an old house, I told myself. Old houses make noises, especially at night. I tried to ignore it, forcing myself to lie back down, pulling the blankets up over my head like a child hiding from imaginary monsters. Eventually, I fell asleep. The next night, the whispers were back, and this time, they were louder. They still weren't clear enough to make out any actual words, but there was definitely a rhythm to them, like someone speaking softly but urgently. I sat up in bed, feeling my heart thumping in my chest. I told myself it was just my imagination. Moving to a new place can mess with your head, right? But every time I closed my eyes, the whispers would start again, faint but persistent, coming from behind that locked door. It was as if someone was standing just on the other side, talking to me without words. I knew I should just ignore it, but I couldn't help myself. I got out of bed, tiptoeing into the hallway. The old floorboards creaked under my feet, and I winced, worried I might wake something I didn't want to wake. Standing in front of the door, I hesitated, my hand hovering over the knob. The whispering stopped. Dead silence. I held my breath, waiting for anything to happen, but there was nothing. Just me, a locked door, and the silence pressing in around me. I backed away slowly, telling myself I'd figure it out in the morning. The next day, I couldn't stop thinking about that door. It felt like it was calling me, demanding my attention. I tried to ignore it, focusing on unpacking, decorating, trying to make this place feel like home, but every time I walked past that door, I'd catch myself staring at it. By the third night, I was done ignoring it. I searched through all my things, looking for something I could use to pick the lock. I wasn't exactly a locksmith, but I figured a paperclip or a bobby pin might do the trick. After what felt like ages of fumbling with the lock, I finally heard a satisfying click. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob and slowly turned it. The door swung open with a soft creak, revealing a room. Not just any room. It was a perfect replica of my own bedroom. Same bed, same sheets, even the same book lying on the nightstand. But it wasn't just the furniture. There was something else. Lying on the bed, staring straight at me, was someone. Someone with my face, my hair, my eyes. Only, they were wide open, watching me with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. I stumbled back, slamming the door shut, heart pounding. I stood there, panting, trying to process what I'd just seen. It couldn't be real. It couldn't be. The days that followed were a blur. I tried to go about my routine, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw that face staring back at me. I knew it was me, but at the same time, it wasn't. And those whispers, they hadn't stopped. If anything, they'd gotten louder, more insistent. I felt like I was losing my mind. Friends would call, asking how I was settling in, and I'd lie, saying everything was fine. But I knew I couldn't go on like this. Weeks later, I'd reached my breaking point. I decided to get away, if only for a day. I found myself at the beach, watching children build a sandcastle under the warm sun, feeling the wind on my face, trying to forget everything I'd experienced. For a moment, the peace of the scene made me believe I could. But deep down, I knew the whispers would still be there, waiting.